Hey everybody, this is Akil Aline coming to you from See Through Edu yet again. Here I am in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the wonderful city of brotherly love. I'm sure, or at least I hope, that you all can recognize the building in the background. That is, of course, Independence Hall, where the Constitution was drafted and signed. I just thought I would take advantage of the opportunity that's presented to me by being in this most historic of American cities to pay tribute to some of this country's founding principles, most importantly, the principle of free speech. Now, one most unfortunate tendency that I've noticed on the part of a lot of people who comment on the issue of free speech in America nowadays, left, right, and center, is that all too often they can't seem to be bothered to read the Constitution of the United States, or at least its relevant provisions, before they comment on it and before they even formulate their opinions on certain issues related to those constitutional provisions. So I thought once again I would take advantage of being in this August location to share with you the text of one of the most important parts of your country's Constitution. Okay, see that there, ladies and gentlemen? Let me close in on it for you a little bit there. Repeat after me. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Note the first few words of that amendment. Congress shall make no law. It says nothing about any non-governmental institution, not your boss, not your employer, not private schools, private universities, etc. It only applies to the government, and originally, back in 1791 when it was first ratified, it only applied specifically to the federal government, to Congress. Didn't even apply to the states. Only later on in American history, under a doctrine called incorporation, was the First Amendment and other provisions of the Bill of Rights applied to state and local governments as well as the federal government. Keep that in mind the next time someone whose views you share is threatened with censorship by a private institution, whether it's an employer or what have you. Also keep it in mind the next time someone whom you would like to see muzzled is threatened with censorship at a public institution such as a public university. It's important to keep these constitutional niceties in mind no matter what the situation and regardless of our own personal beliefs. And here's another feature of the historic section of downtown Philadelphia that I find particularly inspirational, if not necessarily that historically accurate. This is a giant quote displayed prominently on the facade of the National Museum of American Jewish History. It quotes from a speech that was delivered by George Washington to the Hebrew congregation in Newport. I quote, "Happily, the government of the United States gives to bigotry no sanction, to persecution no assistance." End of quote. Now, President Washington delivered that address in 1790. He was trying to reassure this Jewish congregation in Newport that they would not have to fear religious persecution in this new land, this newly formed and constituted country. Unfortunately, the statement was not all too accurate. The United States government has given sanction to various forms of bigotry and assistance to various forms of persecution throughout this country's history. It's just a reminder to us that this country always needs to work hard at living up to its ideals. This is America's first president, the father of the nation, George Washington, who was stating to a long persecuted religious and ethnic minority within the United States that they would not have to fear bigotry and persecution in this new country, at least not at the hands of the federal government. So the idea of opposition to bigotry and persecution is a time-honored and hallowed American ideal. What we need is for more ordinary Americans, as well as Americans in the highest positions and echelons of power, to live up to that ideal, to put more effort into living up to that ideal.